Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
What's your metaphor? Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again with Salt Strong Unchurched. You might be wondering, what the heck is Joe talking about? My metaphor? Well, you're not alone. I had no idea what to respond with when my friend Chris McAllister, who I've had on this podcast before, asked me the same question. And let me give a little bit of history to this. So Chris McAllister came on the podcast here on Unchurched. I think it might have been 2 times now. A phenomenal speaker, author, just a really, really good coach, consultant, good listener, good Christian guy. And so our team meets with him at least once a month and just going over issues, things that that we might need just another eyeball on, if you will. And Chris always just has so much insight. He kind of pushes us, doesn't tell us what to do, but really just opens our eyes to what the problem might be, the possibilities might be, solutions. And really just helps us be great communicators and great leaders. And so in this past week's meeting we had with him, it was all about metaphors. And I had the privilege of getting to go last, so I get to hear everyone else on our leadership team go first. And it's funny when you're not on the hot seat, how obvious the answers can be to you, and then vice versa when you're in the hot seat, when all the pressures and eyeballs and everyone's waiting on you to come up with something, it can be incredibly tough. And so on this one, she switches it up quite a bit, but he didn't start with me. I was so grateful for. But here's a question he asked to everyone. He says, all right, what's a problem or a big challenge that you're dealing with right now in your personal life, your work life, the business, whatever it is? There's no right or wrong answer, but every one of us, no matter who you are, where you come from, how much money, how little money, black, white, brown, doesn't matter. Everyone's dealing with something in life at any given time. And so he says, all right, I want you to think of this challenge, and I'll ask you to do the same thing. Think of the kind of the thing that maybe you wake up thinking about, or you're praying on right now, or struggling with. What's a challenge you have in your life? Could be anything. And then he says, describe it in a metaphor. And the easiest way is just, it feels like blank, fill in the blank. It feels like I'm doing this. And for me, I'll just tell you mine. It says, mine was more of a business thing right now that is kind of my number one challenge. And it feels like we're running as fast as we can in the mud. So as soon as I say that metaphor, you understand what I'm going through, right? That, hey, yeah, it feels like we're moving fast, but we're just not moving at all because we're in the mud or quicksand. You can use any analogy you want there, but it feels like we're going as fast as we can. We're working crazy hours. We're working so hard, but it just feels like we're not going anywhere, is essentially what that means. And so every one of us on our team kind of went through something. Some use personal examples of things happen in life, and some use some business and marital things, all kinds of things, come up in these. And the goal of this is to flip that metaphor on its head, to change your outlook. And I don't know about you, but I'm a big believer in this: what you say about yourself, how you talk, how you visualize, how you dream, how you believe can come true to fruition. Stumbling over my words there. But it's that whole thought that, hey, if I talk positive and think positive, then positive things can and will happen to me over time, and vice versa. We've done some podcasts on this, and there's been some crazy stories where just calamities happen to people, and they constantly were just belittling themselves and bashing themselves, and almost like they were bringing in all this negativity into existence just from their negative thoughts. And here's the crazy part. Even though I've done these podcasts and I have talked about this multiple times, I found I was doing the exact same. So what I just shared with you, I had shared with others on our team. I had shared with other leaders on our team. And so guess what starts happening? These leaders start believing it. Well, hey, Joe says we're we're running really fast, but not going anywhere. We all kind of start believing that. And it was almost like things just kept happening and breaking. And I was like, what is going on? And it hit me as I was going through this little exercise with Chris and the team that, man, I was a big part of the problem by me just verbalizing that, how much that brought that into existence and has probably kept it around longer than need be. And so this whole experiment, if you will, or exercise, Chris says, all right, well, what's another way that we could reframe the same thing that you're feeling? Because we're not trying to hype it up, right? You can't just hype your way out of stuff. I don't think that's ever been the solution. But what's another way where we could still say that we're essentially not moving as fast as we want, right? But in a positive way. And I thought about it. Once again, I had a little bit of an advantage by not having to go first. So I was thinking about mine as I was listening to other people kind of struggle to reposition their metaphor. And then it hit me. I was like, technically what we are really doing, we've lost a couple team members, had to let go of a couple people, and we're hiring a few new people, as some of you who are Salt Strong fans have seen. We've got quite a few job applications out there, and a couple of offers have been made, which we're really, really excited about. And I said, well, you know what? Instead of saying that it feels like we're running as fast as we can through mud or quicksand and not going anywhere, I said, I think it feels like we're taking a quick little break to bring all the right people on the bus so that we can move and double into the future. Essentially, that we are equipping ourselves to grow and to thrive. That's a big difference than saying that it feels like we're running in quicksand and not moving anywhere, right? They're both true. They're both saying the same sort of thing. One is just incredibly positive. It's uplifting. It's the stuff that gets the team excited. It's the stuff that gets me excited. It's the stuff that gets all the people around me excited when they hear, hey, this is just a quick little, this is a gas stop, right? Just like if you're on a road trip, we know where we're going. We know what our vision is. We know about the theme park. We all dream about all this great stuff. We know about how many members we have and how many we want to have and how many we want to serve and how many lives we want to change. How many smiling families out there on the water fishing we want to see out there. We know all that stuff, but at some point, regardless of the trip or the journey you're on, at some point you have to stop and get some gas. You have to stop and get some supplies. You have to get some food and some fuel. You sometimes have to bring some new people on the bus, if you will. And as soon as we went through that, it hit me how powerful that is to reframe things that sometimes could be sabotaging us and our lives and our dreams and our goals. And that was just a big one. I've literally had this kind of, I'm not going to say a negative mindset because my mindset's still been positive, but I've had this one little negative saying, just like, every time something broke, I was like, yeah, it just feels like we're running through the mud and they're not going anywhere. And man, not anymore. You will not hear me say that again. If you do, kick me in the shins and say, hey, what about that other metaphor? How can we flip this? And so I would challenge you, whatever is going on in your life, whatever challenge, really spend some time on that. And the best metaphors are always just, it feels like, and then fill in the blanks. It feels like I'm or we're or my company or my family or whatever is blank. One of the other ones that came up is that, it feels like I'm in a boat with a bunch of leaks, where I'm just constantly bailing out water and I can't go as fast as we want. Whereas the other one is, flipping it on its sideway. It feels like I'm in a boat with a crazy fast engine, and we're taking off regardless of the leaks, and we're going to fix them when we get to the next port. But there's always a way to flip that metaphor on its head and turn it into more of a positive, uplifting one. And even just as we talked through, and even as the team talked through it, we all got a little bit more excited. And when you're excited like that and you can reframe it, everything changes. Meaning even our attitude about all the little things that breaking changes. Versus it was like every time something was breaking, and this is stuff, once again, most of our customers would never know, but it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes of, tags not triggering and, people not getting free shipping when they should have, just little small things that aren't massive in the scheme of things, but it was just constant. It was 10, 15 of these little things a day, every single day. And we're like, how do we have so many holes in this boat that and they're not holes that are sinking the boat per se, like it's not like the boat's going down, but it's just all these little BB size holes that do add up and just cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelm, and a lot of wasted time, honestly. And so when you have a different attitude about where you're going and why you're kind of slowing down to stop, it literally does change even the severity, if you will, of these little small little holes, because it will happen. If you've ever run a business or been part of a business, there's just never a perfect one that just runs smoothly every single second of every single day. I mean, in fact, that's kind of the goal of a business, is to put out figure out problems, put out fires, and to grow from them. So I don't know. I just challenge you to find your metaphor, and whatever you're telling yourself now, I'm willing to bet if it's truly is a challenge or a struggle, you might be positioning it in a more of a negative tone. Find a way to flip that sucker on its head and change that metaphor. Spend some time on it. This didn't happen quickly for everyone. Some of us we're still kind of struggling with it, even after a 45-minute call. But once you get it, it kind of hits you like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I understand how to flip this metaphor on its head. So I hope that helps. I'd love to hear your feedback, or if you have questions, or, hey, I'm really struggling on this metaphor, I'd love to get in there and help. I think these are really fun and super, super powerful once it all clicks. So hit me up, joe@saltstrong.com. Otherwise, have an amazing Sunday. If you're listening on Sunday, have an amazing week. If you're listening during the week, and if there's anything I could do to help you, serve you, pray for you, etc., please let me know. Finally, I will say this: if you are suffering from any sort of anxiety, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, depression, definitely go check out my video in YouTube. You can just Google or YouTube Salt Strong anxiety video, and you'll see it pop up. I talk about it a lot, and it's because I'm reminded a lot, as in like multiple times a day, how many people are dealing with this, and how many people are finding that video and finding, one or two tidbits in there that could be life-changing. So I would encourage you to watch that and ask me any questions. I love helping out any way I can. I've been there. If you don't know my backstory, I dealt with daily anxiety and anxiety attacks for well over a decade of my life every single day. And so it was brutal, painful, also one of the best things in my life. It was, in my humble opinion, it was God preparing me for doing this and doing a lot of big things in my life. And now, knowing what I know now, I'm glad I went through it. I didn't feel like that all the time going through it, but once you get past it and you realize, wow, that was just God strengthening me. He was using me in a tough time, get through some tough stuff, to get me stronger and to be able to share it with so many other people who are going through it. I think that's one of the coolest things that I've been able to do with it. And not just that YouTube video, but just the daily emails and replying to people and praying for them and giving them little tips on things that had helped me. So if you have any questions on that, hit me up. Love to help out. I'm here to listen, to pray, and to love on you any way I can. Hope you have an awesome day. Chat on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.